I sent a sarcastic meme to my colleagues, but forgot the group included the director. Now he's laughing, but I'm afraid he'll get fired. I accidentally sent a sarcastic meme to my entire work chat group, forgetting that our director was in there too. Now he's laughing, but I can't shake the fear that my career might be over. To give some context, I work in a mid-sized office where the mood is usually way too formal. People say kind regards in emails like they're reading from a corporate survival manual. I've always been the one who tries to lighten the atmosphere. Nothing extreme, just sending the occasional harmless meme in our smaller team chat. Usually it's stuff about coffee addiction, being tired on Monday mornings, or the printer that's always broken. My coworkers know my sense of humor. They laugh, we move on. It makes the job a little more bearable. But the problem is we also have this bigger chat group that includes people from different departments, and at the very top, our director. That chat is supposed to be strictly professional. Announcements, meeting reminders, stuff like that. And that's where everything went wrong. It was a Thursday afternoon, and we were buried under reports. My friend from accounting messaged me privately, complaining that the director had asked for one more revision on a spreadsheet that had already been fixed 3 times. I rolled my eyes, and without thinking, I dug into my phone's meme folder. I had this picture saved, a grumpy cat with the caption, "Sure, boss, let me just redo it for the 100th time because your inbox is lonely." I meant to send it to just my friend, a private vent between colleagues. But my tired brain betrayed me. Instead of clicking on her name, I dropped it straight into the all-staff chat. For 2 seconds, I didn't realize what I had done. I saw the little preview bubble and thought, perfect, she'll get a good laugh. Then I noticed the group title at the top. Company announcements, all departments. My stomach dropped so fast I swear I heard it hit the floor. I froze. Time literally slowed down. I imagined HR marching toward my desk with a cardboard box. At first there was silence. No one typed anything. No one reacted. I just stared at my screen, hoping maybe I could delete it before anyone noticed. But of course, this wasn't WhatsApp where you can unsend. Our work chat keeps everything forever, like some cursed archive of your worst mistakes. So the cat meme sat there, bright, bold, sarcastic, waiting for judgment. Then, suddenly, a notification popped up. The director himself had reacted, with a laughing emoji. Not just the polite chuckle, but the one with tears streaming down its cartoon face. And then he actually typed, "Well, I guess my inbox really is needy." The chat exploded. People started reacting with more laughing emojis, GIFs, even a few clapping hands. My coworkers from my smaller team privately messaged me things like, "You madman," and "legendary move." But all I could think was, is he laughing with me or at me? Was this the kind of laugh people give right before they sharpen the guillotine? Here's the thing. Our director isn't known for being approachable. He's one of those tall, serious guys who wears the same Navy suit every day and somehow makes silence feel threatening. I've never heard him crack a joke longer than 3 words. So seeing him laugh was almost scarier than if he'd ignored it completely. It was like spotting your teacher at a nightclub. Strangely wrong, strangely human. For the rest of the day, people treated me like some kind of office hero. Finally, someone said what we're all thinking, whispered one of the analysts in the kitchen. Even people I barely talked to came by my desk just to grin at me. But I couldn't enjoy the glory. My brain was stuck on one thought. What if the director waits until next week's performance review to make me pay? What if he thinks I'm undermining him? What if he's just pretending to laugh, while HR is quietly drafting a company values PowerPoint with my name on it? That night, I lay in bed, replaying the moment on a loop. The meme, the silence, the laugh. Every time my phone buzzed with an email notification, my heart jumped into my throat. I imagined subject lines like, urgent, meeting with HR, or follow up on recent chat activity. Nothing came. Still, the paranoia clung to me like static. The next morning, walking into the office felt like stepping into a courtroom. Everyone kept smirking at me, like I'd become an inside joke. But when the director passed me in the hallway, he just nodded. Calm, neutral, almost unreadable. And honestly, that was even worse. Did the nod mean good one? Or did it mean, your days here are numbered? I still don't know. To this day, No one has mentioned it again in any official capacity. The meme is still sitting in that group chat, immortalized forever. People scroll past it when they're looking for meeting links, and sometimes I swear I catch someone suppressing a laugh when they see it. But me? I'm still waiting for the other shoe to drop. So here's my confession. I might have accidentally committed career suicide with one sarcastic cat meme. Or maybe I just made myself office famous. I can't tell. What do you think? Did I just dodge a bullet? Or am I sitting on a time bomb? Would you ever risk joking about your boss in a group chat that he can actually see? After that accidental meme fiasco, I thought the storm would pass. A day or two of whispers, maybe a few lingering chuckles, then life would go back to normal. But the thing is, when you make a splash in an otherwise boring office, people don't just forget. They start to expect more. And suddenly, I wasn't just that guy who sent a sarcastic meme once. I was the unofficial comedian of the workplace. And let me tell you, I did not sign up for that role. At first, it was harmless. Colleagues would nudge me during meetings, whispering, "Come on, make a joke about this," as if I was some kind of office court jester. In the break room, someone dropped a cookie on the floor, and 3 people turned to me like, "Well, where's the funny comment?" It was flattering, sure, but was also pressure. I was living under the weight of a reputation I hadn't asked for. The director, meanwhile, became this looming mystery in my head. He never mentioned the meme again, but I noticed subtle changes. Sometimes when someone gave a long, boring update during a meeting, I'd catch him glancing at me. Just a flicker, like he was waiting for me to roll my eyes or make a face. Once, during a particularly painful budget discussion, I swear I saw him almost smirk when I sighed a little too loudly. Almost. But he quickly adjusted his tie and went back to being stone-faced. It was enough to make me wonder, had I somehow earned his secret respect? Or was he just keeping me in his sights, waiting for me to slip again? Things escalated one afternoon during a company-wide Zoom call. Picture it, 30 little boxes on the screen, everyone half listening while the HR manager drones on about workflow alignment and synergy goals. I was zoning out, sipping my coffee, when I noticed someone's microphone had been left on. The background noise was faint, but clear enough. Someone was typing aggressively, sighing, muttering what sounded like curses under their breath. Now, I should have kept my mouth shut. Pretend not to hear. But of course, the funny guy crown had been thrust upon me. Without thinking, I typed in the group chat, "Whoever's live streaming their emotional breakdown, your mic is on." Instant chaos. People started laughing. The HR manager froze like a deer in headlights. Someone quickly muted themselves, probably turning bright red in real life. Even my usually expressionless director chuckled, an actual sound this time, not just an emoji. And then he said out loud, "Well, at least someone's keeping this meeting entertaining." That was it, the tipping point. From that moment, my coworkers started treating me like the office's personal stand-up comic. Every awkward silence, everyone's eyes darted to me. Every tedious task, "Hey, can you meme this later?" One guy even asked me to spice up his monthly report with a little humor, like I was some kind of flavor enhancer for corporate misery. But here's where it got complicated. The more I leaned into this funny person role, the more attention I got, not just from my peers, but from higher up. My manager pulled me aside one day and said, half jokingly, "You know, the director really likes you. He mentioned your sense of humor the other day. Just be careful, okay? You don't want to cross a line." Careful. That word rang in my ears. Because honestly, I wasn't sure where the line even was anymore. Was the director genuinely amused, or was he testing me? Did he secretly appreciate my humor because it lightened his endless parade of dull meetings? Or was he keeping tabs, waiting for me to go too far so he could make an example out of me? One Friday, after a brutal week of deadlines, my team begged me to drop another meme into the big chat. "Come on, end the week on a high note," they said. I resisted. I told myself not to. But after staring at spreadsheets for 6 hours straight, I caved. I posted a picture of a skeleton hunched over a keyboard with the caption, "Me, waiting for management to approve the changes they asked for yesterday." The reaction was instant. People laughed. Reactions poured in. Someone even replied with a gif of a zombie crawling. It was like a mini office party in chat form. But then, just when I thought it was safe, The director typed, "Let's hope you're not that skeleton by Monday morning." My blood ran cold. Was that a joke? A warning? Both? People reacted with laughing emojis, so on the surface, it looked playful. But to me, it felt like a veiled threat wrapped in humor. The kind where you can't tell if someone's laughing with you or sharpening a knife behind their back. That weekend, I couldn't relax. Every time I thought about logging in on Monday, I imagined HR waiting with a pink slip. I even started drafting a backup resume, just in case. But Monday came, and nothing happened. The director acted normal. Meetings went on, as usual. Nobody mentioned the skeleton meme. Yet the tension stayed, buzzing like static in the background of every interaction. Here's the strangest part. Deep down, I think the director actually enjoyed it. Maybe my memes and sarcastic comments gave him a break from the endless monotony of corporate life. Maybe he liked having someone bold enough to poke fun at the system he himself was trapped in. Or maybe, just maybe, he was collecting evidence, letting me dig my own grave one joke at a time. So that's where I am now, stuck in this bizarre limbo between office clown and potentially unemployed. Half of me feels proud for breaking through the rigid walls of corporate formality. The other half is constantly paranoid that I'll slip one step too far and lose everything. What would you do if you were me? Keep playing a role of the funny guy, or pull back before it all blows up in my face? Would you risk your job for the sake of office laughter? The thing about gaining a reputation is that it follows you, even when you're not in the mood. By the time the meme incident had become office legend, I realized I had lost control of my image. I wasn't just an employee anymore, I was the funny one. And it turns out, being the funny one in a corporate environment is both a blessing and a curse. At first, I thought I could manage it. Keep it light, throw in a sarcastic comment here and there, then retreat into silence when things got too risky. But it wasn't that easy. My coworkers didn't just want jokes, they expected them. It was like feeding pigeons. Once you start, they never stop coming back. It got to the point where people would CC me on emails just so I could add a witty subject line. I wish I were joking. One colleague even asked me to rewrite the subject of his budget update email because he thought mine would get more clicks. I stared at him like, "Do you think this is YouTube? Am I supposed to optimize your financial report for views?" But he was dead serious. Meanwhile, the director had become this strange figure hovering over my every move. He never explicitly scolded me, but he didn't ignore me either. Sometimes in meetings, I'd make a subtle, sarcastic comment under my breath, and I'd swear he'd catch it. No laugh, no smile, just the faintest twitch of acknowledgement, like he'd heard me, but was choosing not to react. It made me paranoid. Was he secretly enjoying it? Or was he silently cataloging my behavior for the day he decided to have a word? Things really came to a head during a quarterly review meeting. Everyone was gathered in the big conference room, and the director was giving his usual monotone speech about achievements, goals, and strategies. It was the kind of presentation that could put a triple espresso to sleep. And then, out of nowhere, the projector froze. The PowerPoint froze on a slide that simply said, Q3 growth forecast, pending data. Silence. Awkward silence. The IT guy scrambled at the laptop, but the screen just hung there. And before I could stop myself, the words slipped out of my mouth, louder than I meant. Honestly, that slide sums up the entire company. The room erupted. Stifled laughter, people coughing into their hands to hide it. One guy actually snorted. Even the IT guy cracked up while still panicking over the laptop. My heart stopped. I hadn't meant to say it out loud. I thought it was just a thought. But nope, everyone heard it. And then, the moment of truth, the director looked straight at me. For 3 eternal seconds, I thought I was done. My career, my reputation, my rent money, gone in one sarcastic outburst. But then he smiled. Not a big grin, but an actual visible smile. And then he said, "Well, at least someone's honest about it." You could feel the collective exhale in the room. Laughter broke out again, this time less restrained. People were looking at me like I had just performed stand-up in the middle of a shareholder meeting. And me? I was frozen, half relieved, half terrified. Because yes, he smiled, but what did that mean? Approval? Or was he letting me have one last laugh before burying me in HR paperwork. After that day, things escalated even further. Suddenly, I wasn't just the funny guy among coworkers. I had inadvertently made the director laugh in front of everyone. That gave me some kind of strange office street cred. People started coming to me with their complaints, as if I was the unofficial voice of rebellion. "You should make a joke about the coffee machine," someone whispered. "Please, can you meme the dress code policy?" But here's the problem. Once people see you as the class clown, it's almost impossible to shake off. Even when I wanted to be serious, like actually discussing deadlines or presenting my work, someone would inevitably crack, "Careful, don't make him laugh too hard." It was exhausting. I started feeling like I couldn't just be myself anymore. I always had to play the role. The paranoia, meanwhile, only got worse. Every time the director scheduled a meeting with me, my stomach would drop. I imagined him saying, "We've had enough of your jokes, pack your things." But it never happened. In fact, he barely mentioned it. Once in a one-on-one, he just said, "You have a way of keeping morale up. Don't lose sight of the actual work, though." That was it. No scolding, no threats. But also, no reassurance. Just that cryptic middle ground. The worst moment came when someone from HR asked me to help out with the company newsletter. At first, I thought they wanted me to proofread. But no, they wanted me to add humor. Like I was some kind of comedy consultant. They literally said, "We think your touch could make the newsletter more engaging." I wanted to scream. I'm not a comedian. I'm just a tired employee with a sarcastic streak. But of course, I couldn't say no. I added a few lighthearted captions, a cartoon here and there. The newsletter went out, and people loved it. Now guess who's permanently on the creative team? The more this went on, the more I felt trapped. On the surface, I was thriving. Everyone liked me. Even the director seemed amused. But inside, I felt like I was walking a tightrope. One wrong step, one joke that didn't land, one sarcastic comment that went too far, it would all collapse. And worse, I'd have no excuse. I wouldn't be able to say, "Oh, that's not like me," because it was like me now. I had become the role. Sometimes, late at night, I think back to that first meme, the cat picture. It was such a small mistake, such a silly accident. But it set off this entire chain of events that I can't seem to escape. It's like I opened Pandora's box, except instead of demons, it's endless punchlines and sarcastic remarks. And the scariest part? A small piece of me enjoys it. There's a thrill in making the director laugh, in saying what everyone else is thinking but is too afraid to say. There's power in humor. But power is dangerous, especially in a place where the wrong joke can cost you everything. So now I'm caught in this strange balance, half terrified, half addicted to the rush. Every day feels like a gamble. Will today's joke make me a legend, or will it finally be the end? Tell me, if you were me, would you keep playing along, or would you find a way to step back before it's too late? Would you risk turning your career into a comedy show, or try to kill the joke before the joke kills you? The longer this went on, the more my life started to feel like some kind of sitcom I never auditioned for. Every week brought a new episode where I somehow stumbled into another ridiculous situation. My coworkers treated me like a one-man entertainment channel, and the director, well, his reactions were as unpredictable as ever. Sometimes he ignored me completely. Other times, he'd laugh just enough to keep me guessing whether I was his favorite employee or his future cautionary tale. It all came to a head during the company retreat. You know the kind. One of those painfully forced team-building weekends where everyone pretends to enjoy trust falls, group discussions about synergy, and eating bland hotel chicken while nodding at PowerPoint slides. Normally, I just blend into the background, but thanks to my accidental reputation, blending in was no longer an option. People literally said things like, "Can't wait to see what you'll say this weekend," as if I was scheduled entertainment. The first night, we had a dinner where the director gave his usual speech. I could see people zoning out, stabbing at their mashed potatoes in silence. Then someone at my table whispered, "Say something. Save us." My pulse spiked. I didn't want to do it, but the pressure, the expectation, it was unbearable. So, I leaned over to my table and muttered, "If this speech gets any longer, you're going to charge us rent for this ballroom." The reaction was immediate. My table burst out laughing. Too loud. loud enough that the director paused mid-sentence. He glanced in our direction, and the entire room went silent, waiting. Then he raised his eyebrow and said, "Something funny to share with the rest of us?" Time froze. 30 pairs of eyes were glued to me. I wanted to melt into the carpet. But at that point, the damage was done. I couldn't just mumble no, sorry, and hide. So I took a deep breath and, against every survival instinct, said, "Only that if your speech runs much longer, the hotel might charge us by the hour." A beat of silence. My heart hammered so hard I thought it might be audible. And then the director laughed. Out loud. Like really laughed. He actually had to take a sip of water to compose himself. The room followed his lead. Laughter spread like wildfire. Suddenly, I wasn't just a funny guy in the office. I was the one who made the director break character in front of everyone. For the rest of the night, people treated me like a celebrity. That was legendary. I can't believe you said that. Drinks kept getting shoved into my hand as if I had just scored the winning goal in a championship game. And the director? He didn't avoid me. In fact, he came over later, clinked his glass against mine, and said, "Good timing. You kept everyone awake." I should have felt victorious. But instead, I felt a knot tightening in my stomach. Because making people laugh is one thing. Making your boss laugh, your very serious, very powerful boss, is another. What if deep down, he wasn't impressed but embarrassed? What if he woke up the next morning and thought, "Why am I letting an employee roast me in front of the entire staff?" The second day of the retreat only made it worse. We had one of those dreadful icebreaker activities where you're supposed to share fun facts about yourself. When it was my turn, someone shouted, "Tell a joke." I froze. My brain went blank. And instead of giving some normal fact like, "I once broke my arm skateboarding," I panicked and said, "Fun fact. I'm still employed despite my personality." The room erupted again. People loved it. Even the director cracked a smile. But inside, I felt like I was digging my own grave with every punchline. I couldn't stop thinking, how long until the joke stops being funny and starts being unprofessional? The retreat, with a big group photo. Everyone was smiling, relaxed, happy. And in the middle, the director leaned slightly toward me and said quietly, "You're braver than most people here." Then he smiled for the camera like nothing had happened. I stood there, grinning mechanically, my brain screaming. Was that a compliment or a warning? Back at the office, the retreat stories spread like wildfire. My little quip about the hotel charging us rent became office legend. People repeated it like it was a classic movie line. "Remember when you said that?" Iconic. And HR of all departments pulled me aside, not to scold me, but to ask if I'd be interested in hosting the next staff event. Hosting, as in a microphone, a stage, and me being funny on purpose. That's when the panic really hit. It's one thing to slip into humor accidentally, to make people laugh without trying too hard. But being asked to perform? That was different. That meant expectations. That meant pressure. And most of all, that meant risk. What if I bombed? What if the director's patience snapped and he finally decided, "All right, enough jokes, back to business"? I spent nights tossing and turning, imagining scenarios. In some, I killed it, became a company legend, maybe even got promoted for boosting morale. In others, I crashed and burned. Awkward silence, forced smiles, a swift escort to HR. My brain swung wildly between those extremes, never finding balance. And the worst part? Deep down, a tiny part of me wanted to do it. There's something intoxicating about having an entire room hanging on your words, about breaking the monotony with laughter. It's addictive, but addictions are dangerous, especially when your paycheck depends on the mood of one unpredictable director. So here I am, caught between fear and temptation. Do I take the stage and lean into this bizarre new role as office comedian? Or do I step back, risk disappointing everyone, and try to fade back into anonymity? I don't know if I'm clever or just reckless. Maybe both. So tell me, would you grab the microphone if you were me, or would you keep your head down before the joke goes too far? I wish I could say I turned down the chance, that I played it safe, stayed quiet, and blended back into the office wallpaper. But no, of course not. I said yes. I agreed to host the staff event. And in that single moment, I sealed my fate. Preparation was a nightmare. I don't know if you've ever tried to be funny on command, but it's not the same as tossing out a sarcastic remark in the heat of the moment. When you plan it, every joke feels forced. Every line sounds cringy. I sat in my apartment, scrolling through memes at 2 a.m., muttering to myself, too risky, too boring, too weird. I felt like I was prepping for a comedy special I never wanted. The day of the event arrived. It was a casual Friday. Everyone gathered in the big meeting hall. There was a stage, a microphone, even a projector behind me. HR had framed it as a lighthearted wrap-up session and somehow convinced everyone that I was the main attraction. People came in smiling, expectant. My coworkers whispered, "This is going to be great." My boss nodded at me once, expression unreadable, as if saying, "Let's see what you've got." My palms were sweating so much I thought I'd electrocute the microphone. But once I started talking, something strange happened. The nerves didn't go away, but the laughter did. Not silence, not awkwardness, but actual laughter. Real, genuine chuckles at my improvised jokes about printer jams, about coffee that tastes like burnt rubber, about the never-ending email chains with per my last message passive aggression. People howled. I riffed on inside jokes. I teased our broken elevator. I even dropped a sarcastic one-liner about corporate buzzwords. If synergy was a currency, we'd all be billionaires by now. The room erupted. And then it happened, the moment of truth. I made eye contact with the director. For a second, I almost faltered. But then he smiled. Not the tight, polite smile he usually gave. A real one. He actually laughed at a joke about the endless, urgent but not really tasks. And in that moment, the tension inside me snapped like a rubber band. Relief flooded me. I wasn't just surviving, I was winning. The rest of the event was a blur of applause, cheers, and people slapping me on the back. When it was over, HR came up and said, "You were incredible. Best wrap-up we've ever had." My coworkers started calling me the star. Someone even suggested I should run a weekly office stand-up. But of course, the high didn't last. Because after everyone left, the director approached me. Just me and him standing by the stage. My heart started pounding again. He looked at me with that same unreadable expression and said, "You know, you've got a dangerous skill." Dangerous. That word echoed in my head. He paused, then added, "Most people here are afraid to say what everyone is thinking. You're not. That can be valuable, or it can get you into trouble. Which way it goes depends on how smart you are about it." And with that, he walked away. No good job. No thanks. Just that cryptic message hanging in the air like a riddle I couldn't solve. 4 days after, I couldn't stop replaying it. Valuable or trouble? Was he warning me? Encouraging me? Testing me? I couldn't tell. My coworkers, meanwhile, treated me like a hero. "You crushed it. You're basically famous now." But fame in an office is a double-edged sword. People laugh with you until the day they laugh at you. And here's the kicker. The jokes don't stop when the event ends. The expectations follow me back to my desk, into every meeting, every email. People now expect me to be the funny one all the time. If I'm quiet, they poke me. "What's wrong?" "No jokes today." If I'm serious, they act disappointed. It's exhausting. The director, though, he's the real mystery. Some days he gives me that subtle half-smile, like he knows I'm lightening the load. Other days, his stare feels sharp enough to cut glass, and I wonder if he's keeping a private scorecard of my insolence. The truth is, I don't know if he sees me as an asset or a liability. And maybe that's the real confession. I don't know who I am at work anymore. Am I just an employee doing my job? Or am I the company clown, kept around to break the monotony? Did I accidentally become indispensable? Or am I one sarcastic slip away from being disposable? Sometimes late at night, I scroll back to that very first meme, the grumpy cat with the caption, "Sure, boss, let me just redo it for the 100th time because your inbox is lonely." One careless click, and my entire office life changed. That meme is still sitting in the company chat, fossilized like an artifact. Everyone scrolls past it. But for me, it's a reminder. The line between comedy and catastrophe is paper thin. So now, every day at work feels like balancing on a tightrope. I don't know if I'll keep my balance forever, or if one day I'll slip. Maybe the director will decide he's had enough. Or maybe, just maybe, he'll keep letting me get away with it because deep down, even he needs the laugh. And that's my story. My confession. I might be the first person in history to build a career, or destroy one, based entirely on memes and sarcasm. I don't know how it ends yet. Maybe with a promotion. Maybe with a pink slip. But for now, I'm still here, still joking, still waiting for the punchline that decides my fate. What do you think? Am I smart for riding the wave, or stupid for playing with fire? If you were in my shoes, would you keep being the office clown, or quit while you're ahead, before the joke finally goes too far?